Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Louise from The Dusty Jacket. Get ready, tweens and teens. I've reviewed fiction books for kids, adults, and now it's your turn. So pull up a chair because I'm reviewing 5 fiction books for young adults. Let's get started. Our first book is Silent to the Bone by E.L. Konigsberg, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 10 to 14. Branwell Zamborska is the yin to Connor Kang's yang. Born just weeks apart, they go to the same school and live just houses away from one another. So when Branwell is rendered mute after his baby sister suffers a horrible and life-threatening accident, Connor is right there by his side. The message on the 911 tape is enough to send Branwell to the Clarion County Juvenile Behavioral Center, but Connor knows his friend and is certain of his innocence. But with Branwell rendered voiceless, how can the truth, whatever it is, be heard?
Speak! Speak! Why don't you speak?
It is astonishing how many sensitive and provocative topics Konigsberg has stuffed into one book. Psychological trauma, sexual awareness, emotional manipulation, divorce, jealousy, revenge. Although each subject is handled with sensitivity, care, and scratches the surface just enough to allow readers to reach their own obvious conclusions, this book might be more appropriate for readers ages 12 and up, unless you're prepared to have a lot of teachable moments.
No, I can't handle that kind of stress.
In addition to tackling so many complex issues with finesse, I was drawn to this story because of the deep connection shared between Branwell and Connor. Connor is placed in the most impossible and unthinkable of circumstances by a friend who is totally withdrawn from the world. At any moment, and there are many, Connor could have simply given up and walked away. But somehow he finds a faint voice in the silence, and that alone drives him to not give up on his friend nor abandon his cause.
Because that's what best friends do.
Konigsberg gives readers a suspenseful book that explores the bond of friendship and demonstrates just how far that connection can be stretched without ever really breaking. Our next book is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 13 and up. Is today a good day to die? Theodore Finch asks himself this question in the morning, during third period, and at supper. He also counts the days that he is awake, because awake is good and safe and where he needs to be. Violet Markey counts the days until graduation, when she can begin a new life away from Bartlett, Indiana, and the pain she feels every day since her sister died. Both Finch and Violet are counting, but what they didn't count on was meeting on the ledge at the top of the high school bell tower. They didn't count on wandering around their state, discovering out-of-the-way landmarks and attractions. Most of all, they didn't count on falling in love.
Yeah, I didn't count on that one.
All the Bright Places gives readers a gritty and honest look into bipolar disorder. Told in alternating narratives by Finch and Violet, we experience bullying, loss, domestic abuse, suicide, and mental illness. With so many disturbing and difficult topics, it is a testament to Niven that readers are given a story filled with laughter, love, and hope.
I didn't expect that.
Through 2 fractured and flawed main characters, we see teenagers struggling to understand their place in the world and determined, despite all odds, to make their mark within it. Young adult me liked the star-crossed relationship between Finch and Violet, who complemented one another well. Finch's fearlessness in approaching Violet about her loss enables her to break free from her psychological prison and regain her independence. Violet, in turn, acts as a compass, giving Finch direction and much-needed stability. However, adult me had a problem with Finch's family and how they chose to deal with his manic depression. It seemed too easy and convenient to chalk up his behavior as quirky and weird and, oh, that's just Finch. When he disappears for days, they dismiss it as, he does that sometimes. This cavalier attitude seems a bit apathetic for a family already put through the ringer with divorce, and a nasty one at that. But in the end, young adult me just told adult me to stop overthinking things and enjoy the story.
Yeah, well, maybe that's your problem. Maybe you think too much.
So I did. Niven gives us a raw and poignant story about 2 teens drowning in their own pools of mental anguish and personal guilt. Whether by luck or fate, they find each other and begin to uncover their own self-worth that eventually allows a violet to bloom and a finch to fly. Our third book is Nightjohn by Gary Paulson, which I rated 4 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 12 and up. It was in the flower bed that I first heard about Nightjohn, not by name, but by happening. Sarni remembers that moment well, that and other moments, both horrible and hopeful, that has happened on Master Clell Waller's plantation. The beatings, the constant humiliation, the rapes, but also the songs and stories that provide some comfort to her and her fellow slaves. But most precious of all were the moments spent with Nightjohn, for he brought with him freedom, freedom that only knowledge could bring, and Nightjohn was bringing it to Sarni and anyone brave enough to accept this unique and powerful gift.
Heard any ask what freedom would bring.
Knowing the atrocities, brutality, and savagery that happened during this period in American history, where slavery was practiced and largely accepted, the story of Sarni and what she witnessed and experienced should come as no shock. Unfortunately, it does, for Paulson is relentless in providing details and spares no sensibilities when it comes to depicting the treatment of slaves and the punishment ravaged upon those attempting escape. This book is recommended for ages 12 and up, and although the message is important and the details written are accurate, I would suggest a slightly higher starting age due to several highly graphic scenes and mature subject matter.
It's a lot to take in.
I appreciated the theme of this book and the heroism shown by Nightjohn, who had successfully acquired freedom in the North, only returned to the South so that he could teach slaves to read and write. The singular problem I had with Paulson's book was the overuse of violence. He describes what runaways endured when the dogs finally caught up with them, and he did so not once, not twice, but 3 times. The reader understands the gruesomeness of this action and the utter depraved satisfaction the master gets in seeing a man or woman being literally torn to shreds. But to restate it numerous times was borderline gratuitous. Nightjohn is a quick read. The hardback edition is 92 pages with large typeface and a narrow width, but its characters and their unfailing faith, their struggle for dignity, and the fight for a better life will undoubtedly have a long-lasting impact. Our 4th book is Tangerine by Edward Bloor, which I rated 4 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 11 and up. The Fisher family, Dad, Mom, and sons Eric and Paul, are moving from Texas to Florida. Their new home is in the prestigious Lake Windsor Downs subdivision located in Tangerine County. Despite their new location, the family continues to move forward with the Eric Fisher football dream, Dad's favorite topic.
Football's my life.
However, no such dream exists for Paul, whose IEP lists him as legally blind. But you don't have to be blind to see all the strange things happening in Tangerine. The never-ending muck fires, disappearing koi, a giant school-swallowing sinkhole, and lightning that strikes at the same time every day.
What kind of place is this?
Things are definitely different in Tangerine, and they're about to get even more strange as Paul begins to piece together memories about a dark family secret as fuzzy as his own eyesight. I had a difficult time writing this review as adult me wanted to rip the title of parent from both Mr. and Mrs. Fisher. Both failed their sons dismally, and I hope that readers realize this and understand the difference between parenting and passivity. With that said, Tangerine does provide teens with some spot-on insights into the messy, harsh, and unforgiving world of middle and high school. Bloor gives us a story about the haves and the have-nots and shows us how a bunch of ragtag soccer players can be more of a family than your own kin. Despite the flagrant shortcomings of some of the adults in this book, Bloor gives readers a modern-day hero in the likes of Paul Fisher, an underdog who pursues his dreams with relentless courage and moral conviction. Never one to fall victim to his own impairment, Paul proves himself to be a loyal, fearless, and worthy friend and shows everyone in Tangerine, including his own family, that he is more than just the sum of his parts.
Well, you're just full of surprises.
From an early age, Paul realizes that life is often unfair and cruel, but by living in Tangerine, where lightning does in fact strike twice, he understands that anything is possible and that even a kid labeled as legally blind can still see the good in people. Our last book is Bluefish by Pat Schmatz, which I rated 5 out of 5 stars and has a recommended reading age of 12 to 15. One fish, two fish, red fish, bluefish. Might as well be one fish, two fish, Travis is a stupid fish. At least that's what they all say. Well, what one person says, but he's a very influential person.
That is all that matters.
Travis Roberts is the new kid in the 8th grade. The only thing that kept him in school was his dog Roscoe, and now that he's gone, what's the point? He'll always be stupid. He'll always be a blue fish. But then Travis meets Vida and Bradley Whistler and Mr. McQueen, his reading teacher. Up until this point, everything that Travis cared about was gone. Maybe now he has a reason to begin caring again. Schmatz serves up an awkwardly accurate and often humorous portrayal of adolescence through 3 flawed and endearing misfits, all longing to fit in and wanting to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Why am I such a misfit?
Our 3 protagonists are no longer children, but not quite adults, and Bluefish shows us the mask each wears to cover up their insecurities and shortcomings. From the brainiac to the class clown to the strong silent type, Schmatz successfully encapsulates the complicated world of teenagers and the tangled and convoluted roadmap that directs their everyday lives and dictates their emotions.
Because being a teenager is not hard enough.
Bluefish is more than a story of friendship and middle school survival. It's a story of how one person has the power to change the very course of our life. A kid who finds and hands back your stolen shoe. A girl who invites you to sit with her at lunch. Or a teacher who volunteers his or her time to tutor you before school. Schmatz reminds us of the importance of not giving up on our friends and, more importantly, not giving up on ourselves. Because when all is said and done, being a bluefish isn't such a bad thing after all. Well, that's it. I'll include a link to our Goodreads page in the comments section should you wish to read the full review of any of these books. And if you enjoyed this video, please click on the like and subscribe buttons and make sure to hit the bell so that you're notified when new videos become available. Again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to bringing back some old titles so that you can make new memories, because any time is a good time to dust off a new favorite. Keep reading!